sitting here with Brother Sports. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves really quickly?
Hey, what's up? I'm Anthony and I sing.
I'm Gil. I play the drums.
I'm Marcus. I play guitar and bass.
I'm Isak. I play guitar and keys, and I do art and stuff.
Awesome. So I just want to start by I love talking to artists about like what they're listening to, because I feel like that's like not brought up a lot. But so I was wondering what you guys are listening to right now, and what has been your like go-to song this week?
That's a good one.
My album that I've been listening to is an Austin band called Malarkey. They put out an album. It's amazing. And the song that I cannot stop listening to is called Cosign. It's dope. Check that out for sure.
Nice.
I've been listening to this band called Muss. I started listening to the whole record. It's a band, one of the guys from Interpol. There's a song called Red Western Sky that's fucking, I mean, it's really good. So check it out.
I've been listening to Omar Apollo's newest album. It's really good.
Oh, I thought you didn't like. Okay.
It is really good.
Well,
though.
it is
Talk
really-
about that.
It is really good. I've been listening to that 070 Shake song, Guilty Conscience. I was like doing this thing where I'm like trying to figure out I was like making a list for Polyvinyl of like what are the top 10 choruses of the year, like hooks in a song, and I've just been listening to that over and over again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. And I also really like the album cover. I was also looking for like the best album covers of the year, and that album cover is crazy. So that's my
Dude.
plug.
Album covers are like so like they're so important. I was talking to JW Francis about this actually, that they're like a lot of people don't like don't put so much emphasis on it, but I feel like it can make or break the music sometimes. But which is so cool because you do your own album art, which is super cool. Also the Malarkey album is super great too. I interviewed them a while back.
Nice. Yeah,
and
they're cool.
Yeah, and Livy, the lead singer and guitar player, used to be in KVRX as well, which is where.
Oh, dope. Sweet.
It's a family affair.
Yeah. You guys just released Telenovela as a single the other day. What can you say about that track? And like also like when does it become apparent in the songwriting process, like whether or not you want to sing in Spanish or in English?
That's such a good question for the song. Honestly, I think this is the first time we do it where we say we're gonna do it in Spanish the whole way. And the story it's pretty short. Basically, one night I woke up in the middle of the night and the first two lines of the song came to me, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is it. This is the song. We're going with this." So the next day I woke up and I came and told Isak, I was like, "Yeah, I came up with these two lines. These are it. We need to do them." And so the first two lines go, "Cuando no estoy a tu lado, siempre ando con mis tragos," which translates when I'm not by your side, I'm always drunk. I'm always messed up. And it felt a lot better and more close to me on Spanish.
It sounds a lot more poetic.
Sounds more poetic, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. It sounds a lot more poetic on Spanish than probably something in English.
He came over to my place and he was like, "Dude, I woke up. I have a really good idea for this song." And I thought like he had the entire song written out in his head. And like, I mean, everyone's like, all artists have that moment where you dream the thing that you want to. I was like, "Awesome, dude, that's awesome." And then he was like, "Yeah, I'll write it out for you later." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And all day I'm like looking forward to it. And he sends me a text. I'm like, "Oh, here they are," and it's 2 lines. I was like, "Okay, cool." But yeah, that was
Nice.
Have you had any other any real moments like that where you have like big ideas like in your dreams, or like you wake up and you're like, "I gotta write this down"?
I've had one where I woke up for the dream. At the end of the dream, I remember like walking away from a beach, and on the beach was Win Butler from the Arcade Fire, and he was like playing this little melody on a tiny like toy keyboard. And I like woke up and I immediately like hummed that melody into a voice memo. I was like, "Awesome, we have a chorus for a song." And then I listened to it the next day and it was super whack, but We've never did
But
anything.
it came to you.
But I was like really excited about the fact that like I heard a song in my dream and I remembered it as soon as I woke up. But
That's awesome.
nothing as good as what Anthony had.
I feel like I've had like ideas in my dreams before, and then I feel like it seems really cool in your dreams, but then like it's never as cool when you wake up.
Don't worry, this one actually felt as cool in my dreams and in real life.
That's good. Yeah, no, it made for a great song, and the album cover is so cool. I love the album cover for that.
Thank you.
It's very dope.
Yeah. Can you guys talk about covering 2 Weeks by Grizzly Bear? Because I love that song and I was really stoked to see that you guys did that.
Yes. I feel like that was like mostly Anthony's idea. He just like said it offhandedly one time a long time ago. It seemed like it would be impossible because I mean Anthony, he sings. I don't know if he's like on Grizzly Bear level of singing, but he does sing, right? So like we were able to get that done. But I was thinking, no, but I'm just saying, everyone else in the band, like, I was like, how are we going to be able to do all the harmonies?
Don't worry, I'll plug in my solo project after this whole thing.
Yeah.
But that came together. I had this idea of doing like the vocal melody on the guitar, and I was like, that's just like a cool way of playing that. And then we just like went to a farm and we had like a plan of like recording stuff for that EP that it came out on. We just need to finish it up. And we're like, okay, we're not leaving until we're done with this. And it just like came together as quickly. It was like one of the things, like, you just don't overthink it. You just like make it happen. Yeah, that's pretty much
honestly, if you watch the video, you pretty much see what happened. We ate bad sushi, we drank a lot, and we watched cows, and then we just put the song together. Like that's really all we did.
You said watch cows like it was a movie.
Watch
cows. Cows too.
We looked at cows outside the window and we did it. But yeah,
are you guys cool? Are you guys like in the like camp of people who like? I feel like most people feel this way, that like if you're gonna cover a song, it's got to be way different, because sometimes I feel like I feel like if I was covering songs, like I would be so tempted to just like play it the same way because it already sounds so good. But like, is it hard to be like, how can we make this way different from the original?
I think it was mostly just trying to find a way where we didn't dishonest the song, but also we jammed it, right? Like I think like we've probably all here jammed 2 Weeks so much. So it was like how we were trying to make something that we would actually jam, which we did. I mean, that's probably gonna be our top Spotify play it next year. But like we really did jam that song a lot. So like it was really cool. So we were just, I think it was try not to serve as a song while trying to make something fresh that we ourselves jam to.
Yeah. So Isak, I want to talk about your visual art and how you kind of like have such a specific aesthetic and like have such like captured like such a specific area of like the market for that, for graphic art. So like what did that come naturally, or was like how did you land in that spot where you could like?
Oh my God. No, it did not come naturally at all. Honestly, like it's funny the way that I feel like most of my like creative stuff happens is just like purely out of necessity. Honestly, like whenever we first started as a band, we were playing like the worst time slots in town, and like the worst time slots also came with like the worst posters, and it was just like not cool, and it just like made our Instagram feed look super whack. And I was like, there's got to be a different way. Like I bet I could do a like somewhat better version of this poster. And that's like whenever I started getting into just like doing digital art and like working with bands, and like, I mean, it was all just for our own band, and I started making our album covers. But then I was lucky to get an internship with Margin Walker. I was like a creative intern there, and that opened so many doors for me, just in terms of like the confidence of getting to like make a poster for a sick band. Like, I mean, I've made a poster for like my favorite band. Like I did a Deer Hunter poster, which like, you know, that's exactly what I would be going for in life, is like one day to make a poster. but also the people that I met, like the creative director at Margin Walker's name's Ian Orth, and like his art style and like his just familiarity with different artists like really opened me up to just learning. Not just like, I've always loved album covers. I've always, like, I used to redesign album covers whenever I was young, and they all sucked, but like I was into the idea of it. But it wasn't until I met him, and then he started showing me like different artists that I was into, and then I started, rather than just being into the band and the music, I was like, okay, well, I want to know who designed the album cover. And I just remember, I mean, I'm sure it's like everyone's favorite album cover, the Tame Impala Currents cover. I started looking into like that artist specifically. I was like, wow, this is so cool. All the different, I think what really did it for me was not just that main cover, but all the different singles had interesting variations on the theme. And then I just got obsessed with the idea of like, how do I make a ball look that shiny in Photoshop myself? And I just like kept on doing it over and over again until you just like trial and error, you learn all these different things. And so, yeah, for me, it's just like, honestly, what I do all day is like, I'll look at stuff on Instagram. I just have like my Pinterest board, and I just like look at all of it. And then I go in thinking that I'll never be able to make anything cool again. And then like 2 hours later with Photoshop, I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool, and let's do that. That's kind of how it happened with like the telenovelas cover. Anthony always has these like random ideas that seem impossible to actually create. So he was like, let's do like a shiny TV. And I was like, great. Something that I don't know how to draw, something that I don't know how to do. And then I was just like sitting there, and I worked on it for a little while, and I was like, okay, cool, this works. And so, yeah, it was like a really slow process, very not natural to me, but I like the challenge of like figuring out a new thing. And now I like do it all the time. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I also interned at Margin Walker, but as a like marketing intern, not,
Nice.
not graphics, but
Shout out to Marjorie Walker.
yeah, shout out. Very cool. That's awesome. So what did you, what's y'all's favorite venue to play at in town, and why?
Town.
Man, mine was Barracuda. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved playing at Barracuda a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
rest in peace.
Yeah, Barracuda or Hotel Vegas. I mean, Hotel Vegas was the first place we played. Even though
Hotel Vegas too.
It's sometimes it can be a shit show, but it's everything about it that's a shit show. It's also can be really cool depending on the show and the day. So Barracuda and Vegas, I think they've both been super good to us.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the most fun shows are like a really good Hotel Vegas show is like about as fun as it can possibly get. Like a really good show at Barracuda or something like that, whenever you're like on that elevated stage, makes you feel like a super legit band. But like a really good show at Hotel Vegas, like that's the thing. Like back in the day, like we would just be going to Hotel Vegas just to go jam. And that feeling definitely is there whenever you're playing.
For sure. I've never been to Hotel Vegas because I feel like, because I'm under 21, and I feel like most of the shows there are 21 up, but I can't relate to the Barracuda stuff because I've been to some great shows at Barracuda.
When do you turn 21?
In April.
Okay. Hopefully, yeah.
He's putting it in his. He's gonna put it in his calendar. So expect a gift from Anthony. Just send him your address later. He got you.
I'll be offended if you don't hit me up, bro. I'm gonna be offended.
Yeah, we'll make sure he does, bro. Don't worry.
So, what do you guys like particularly about the Austin music scene? What do you dislike? And what did you find that it was easy to be accepted to? Because I know it's like sometimes a struggle because it's so saturated.
That's a great question.
I'm not gonna answer that one because then I'll go over.
You go on a rant.
Yeah, I'll go on a rant. So I'll let the most more diplomatic and eloquent people in the band take that one.
But you can, yeah. I don't know. What do y'all? I'm curious. I have a lot of opinion, but if I start, I won't stop. So
for me, I'm from Houston. I work in Houston, and I work at a venue in Houston. So my first taste of like playing music was in Houston in that local scene, which is very different from Austin because Austin has the Red River area, right? You can throw a rock and hit 5 venues in that little space. So it changes the way that things work as like a business, and it also changes like your average like Friday night experience, right? Like in Houston, you can't really bounce around that much. In Austin, you can. So I feel like the live scene here pre-COVID was awesome because on any day of the night, you will have something going on of quality, you know? And been to so many shows here in Austin, like on Mondays or Tuesdays at Hotel Vegas. We're talking about like we would just go to Hotel Vegas. We don't know who's playing. We're just going, and you see some stuff. You're like, oh shit, this is awesome. It's not really like that in Houston, but yeah, that's what I love about Austin is that any night of the week you can find something that you're not familiar with and go back and be like, whoa, this is awesome, and plug in from there and go. So
Yeah, I definitely agree about that. Like, probably one of my favorite things about the Austin scene is like there's this Instagram page, Austin D Music. Do you know that page?
Yeah, I know. I interned with her actually at Margin Walker. Shelby. Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool. I mean, dude, there's been so many times where I didn't know what time we played until I checked that page, like just have it how like how many bands there are playing, how many venues have live music. It is really cool and it is really fun. And I think from the outside, it's like, oh, it's so inviting. There's so much happening. But I would say from the perspective of like being, our specific band, it was a super slow process for us to actually get to a place where we were part of that like rotating like cast of bands that are playing. And even to this day, I don't know. I feel like this year would have been a really cool year for us just because we were kind of like hitting a crescendo towards the end of last year. We had finally like gone on tours out of the state. Like we went and played in Mexico a couple of times. Like we were really starting to like build momentum towards something. And then, just like everyone else in the whole world, like things got on pause. But it's definitely like the amount of bands that there are in Austin definitely does make it difficult. And I would also say, there's like a handshake between everyone in a way that's kind of like a clique that is sort of like, if you don't know the right person, it's really hard to break in sometimes. So like there have definitely been times where like you go to a show and you're like, wait, why is that band opening for that? Like that doesn't make sense to me necessarily, or and I've had that experience a million times in Austin. I think every band has had that experience. It's like, you have to know the right person. I would say I didn't have as much of an awareness about that until we actually went to Mexico, and like we made friends with some bands that are in like the Monterrey, Mexico scene that we ended up playing in. And just seeing how friendly and inviting both the bands and also like the fans of music are there. Like the first show that we ever had where people were singing lyrics back to us happened like in a country like that we don't live in a city that we had not been to. Like they really care about the music. They will pay and like sit their ass down in the venue all for like the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth band, and like they won't go outside and just like do nothing, like how it often happens like at venues here in town. So I think in a way the amount of live music that there is in Austin kind of like people maybe take it for granted sometimes, because I've definitely thought like I could go see them tonight, but I'm probably going to see them at another venue
tomorrow.
Next. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like I've had that thought so many times. And so,
yeah, it's good and bad.
For sure.
Yeah. I guess this kind of ties in, but what do you want to see change in Austin's art economy when shows fully come back?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have a really short thing, and then I would be curious what y'all say. I would say like just better representation on bills, like that. I guess anyone that's like watching on YouTube will probably be able to see that like we're not like just an all white band, and like that probably is one of the biggest things, especially like in the indie rock scene in Austin. It's like such a, not a diverse space. So just like, I think it's easy, especially over this summer, like there's been a lot of, stated commitment to like, we should try to have more diversity on bills and all that. And it's really easy to say that whenever you're not booking shows because there's no way to book a show right now. But I'm really curious, like whenever things do whenever we're able to like get back out there safely and do all these shows and stuff like that, like a lot of people said a lot of stuff, but I'm really curious to see it actually happen. So yeah, just more diversity on bills and like just representation in the scene, because there are a lot of, you know, like it is a really diverse type of music that we play. But I don't know, what about y'all?
I mean, I think compounding on like what you said, like I feel like there's a rotation of like 5 bands that play as like opening acts for a lot of the bigger artists that come through. And if you look at them, they're like all white. And I think there's such a diverse like music scene here. Like there's so many artists, like, you know, excluding like race and skin color, who have different sounds. But just to have like the same 5 bands like kind of play those, like, you know, opening for King Gizzard, for instance, or something like that, is like pretty whack. So that's something I would like to see, like people like Margin Walker like open up a little more to, like giving younger bands or even like smaller bands like a shot. Anyone else?
What about you, Anthony?
No, I mean, you guys said what I would say. I would have said. I mean, like I think it's
You
just.
look like you're sitting there like you're the bouncer right now.
I mean, no, it's true. Like, I mean, there's something dude, there's been so many times where I want to just rant on social media. I never end up doing it, just as far as like, you know, that lack of representation there is in the city as far as like music, for the Latinx community, but also for the Black community. For, I mean, you know, Cheer of Charles does a really good job for like the queer community, but at the same time, like there's just not enough. There's not enough people of color, you know, when it comes down to on any of those bills. And at the end of the day, you see a lot of the same bands playing opening for this big bands, or a lot of the same bands playing those headline slots during Fridays and Saturdays, and they usually are white. And look, my partner's white. I love white people. I mean, I got nothing against white people, but like we do. I think it'd be interesting to see and give the other bands a first shot, especially people that are working hard. Like I think there's, and not just speaking for ourselves. I mean, we do work hard, but like I think there's a lot of bands out there that are people of color that are just not getting the same spotlight.
Same love.
Yeah, that's it. The same love. And I think
love.
that would be cool. That would be really cool to see.
Definitely.
I agree.
I appreciate the thoughtful answer. What can you guys say? What advice do you have for young people who are trying to get into the scene? What should people look out for? Do you have any like advice just for people in their 20s, like as a creative, or just like how was it for you guys? You know, anything to touch on that?
I have kind of a big one, or maybe it's not a big one, but it's big for me. Yeah, I've played in other bands like before joining Brother Sports, and I think a big thing to realize as a young band starting out, like you're gonna get like the really bad time slots, right? Like what Isak was saying earlier, you're gonna play like, you know, Monday at 6 p.m. at Carousel Lounge or something like that, and like that sucks. But like, I mean, stick through it. But eventually, you'll hit the point where you're sounding tight, you're releasing songs, and you're getting like your, I guess like word of mouth stuff, like your visuals are looking good on like your Instagram and stuff. Like, don't be afraid to ask for those bigger shows.
Yes.
Like, I know it's like super daunting, and I think that was a big thing that like Anthony and Isak like really made me like think about when I joined the band. Like, they're not afraid to like ask people to like do things, or like afraid to like ask to be put on these shows. Whereas in the other bands I was playing, we were just kind of felt like, well, we only have like 300 like Instagram followers, you know, so like maybe we're not there yet. But we had been playing live music for like 4 years, you know. Like, don't be afraid to be like asked to put on those bills.
Yes.
Like, you'll probably be put in consideration.
I would say the biggest thing is like just try it. Just don't stop trying. Like, just keep going, and like eventually you'll either realize like this grind is so soul crushing that it's not even worth it to me. Like, that probably means that you probably just don't like, if that's difficult, like I would say it's never gotten any easier for us. Like, the more progress we've made, the more pressure we feel. So it's never going to go away. You're never just going to break through and be like, oh, awesome, being band is super chill and like no big deal at all. But just having that like drive, I think, is the thing that made it possible for us to just even play songs in front of people even once, you know, just like do it and don't stop. and just believe it, and you'll eventually get there. With what I think that's true for any kind of creative thing. I mean, that goes for making music, but also doing like visual art stuff. The amount of times that like I've had people that were like able to kind of like show me the way on something, if even something as simple as like, you know, how do you make this effect happen in Photoshop or something like that, all the way to like, you know, recommending me as like a freelance person. If you just like continue to ask and you continue to put yourself out there, it's just going to come back to you, all that effort that you put into it. So just don't stop.
Cool.
Even if you
Very
get
cool.
tired, like I do sometimes.
Cool. Who should we look out for? Who do you think we should look out for, like in terms of musicians in town, and also like non-musicians, like people who maybe do graphic art or people who just work in the scene?
Well, definitely Spirit Ghost,
Mm-hmm.
Sasha and the Valentines,
Yeah.
Glaze.
I mean, those guys are, they've been there. They've been helping us out. We'll be helping each other out really as we continue to grow and like release more music. Mind Shrine from Houston. Those are all bands. I mean, Mantra Love. I think those are all bands that have really helped us, and when like we made a bonding for the very beginning, that it really didn't even. It wasn't even like there was no like there was no, what is the word I'm looking for? Like there was no like
Transaction.
Yeah, it felt very natural, and we've been just, those are all every single band that I just mentioned. They're great musicians, and just if they didn't put anything out this year, I can only imagine they're going to come back and just destroy us. So y'all should be on the lookout.
Also Connor Schwenk.
Connor.
He used to do sound at Barracuda, rest in peace. But he kind of engineered our last 2 EPs, and he does great work. He works with Glaze as well.
Yeah, hit him up to mix and master your records.
Agree.
Yeah,
He's great.
he's super awesome.
Who else? Yeah, that sounds like. I would say also just talking about like having these bands that we're homies with. That goes back to like what you were saying, like recommendations for people to start.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
If
like,
you find a band that like you really resonate with their music, it's probably because y'all are into the same stuff. So just hit them up and just like reach out and be like, hey, I like your music. Listen to my music.
I mean, that's how it was with Dante LaFonte, actually. Honestly, like I found his music, I think before we were in a band, or maybe we were just like, maybe we didn't even know how to play our instruments, but that was like years ago. And I just reached out to him. I was like, dude, this song is sick. And he didn't reply to me. That's fine.
it's all good. Ruben, you're good. Don't worry,
I'm
Ruben.
upset about it.
We love you.
And then a couple years later, we were in a band, like we already had formed Brother Sports, and I saw that he was on tour. I hit him up again. I was like, dude, if you come by, like if you come, you have a place to crash. And he was like, oh, what? Thank you so much. Listen to us. He was like, oh man, you guys' music is sick. And that's really how it happened. It was over just a DM, and now we're friends. We're like, he's doing great. His new record's about to drop in January, which is insane. So anyways, yeah. So basically, point of the story is like, yeah, if you
reach out to bands,
hang out with bands, hang out with bands. That's like the best advice. Is like make friends with bands. Like when bands come into town, let them into your home. You know, like I've formed so many great friendships with so many people of just like letting them crash at the place and having a couple beers after a show, and then like, you know, eating breakfast the next day, and then they go on their way, and then next thing you know, you might be in California and you hit them up, or New York. You know, it really helps to like form these relationships early, because you never know what someone's going to be doing or where they're going to be, and they might reach out to you, and you know, vice versa. So yeah, definitely.
That's good knowledge there. I appreciate that. I'm just started a band, so this is like
Nice.
relevant.
Just slide through our DMs. We got you.
Yeah, we got you.
I actually very much appreciate that.
What's the name of your band?
Tentatively Class Historian, which
Nice.
is
I
like,
like that.
after
That's cool.
the Broncho song. If
Yeah.
you guys are into Broncho,
Yeah.
I love
yes,
those guys.
yeah. So
Dude, these guys, they love.
We love Broncho.
Dude, I saw these guys at Barracuda. When Broncho was playing, they were jumping high. Like, I swear they were gonna hit their head on the ceiling. They were so excited.
It was funny because we had just left like a what is it, like a
Oh.
yuppie ass Christmas party. So we were like super dressed up. Like
They
we
were in
like,
suits.
Yeah, we
They
were
were
in
in
suits,
suits.
and we just rushed the venue and we lost it because we were drunk, right? It was like free. It's like an open bar, so we were just like, let's go, and yeah, it was a blast.
When was the show?
Last year?
It was.
2 years ago.
So,
I think it was 2 years ago.
2018 Christmas, yeah.
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 Around Christmas 2018, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw them at Barracuda during Levitation last year.
Nice.
And they put on a sick live show.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, they're so sick.
They're
We were in
fun.
Mexico at that time.
Yeah, we were.
And then I don't know. This is really off topic, but do you guys know who Jello Man Philly is?
Yes.
Dude,
I don't know.
he was
Dude.
there. He was there slinging Jello shots into
What?
the crowd.
Dude, so I love Desert Days. Desert Days, if you hear this, I love you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for changing my life. Anyways, at Desert Days last year, my favorite set of the weekend was Parquet Courts. I love Parquet Courts too.
I love
You
Parquet
guys
Courts.
listen to this. I love you. But yeah, I was
Same.
watching the show and Jello Man came out and he was on a boogie board and everyone was just carrying him around. And he had a slingshot and was just slinging Jello into the crowd. Dude, that guy is amazing, man.
Yeah.
Wait, so what's his thing? Who is
It's somebody.
It's
He's
incredible.
somebody's brother. I forget what
Dude,
band.
he's Kurt Vile's brother.
Kurt Vile's brother.
I
There
just
you go.
found this out too. I thought he was
Yeah.
just some guy who traveled around with bands and slung
Mm,
Jello shots into the crowd, but it turns out he's Kurt Vile's brother.
Dude, I'm gonna show you guys videos. I have videos on my phone.
it's
Oh,
it's
God.
incredible.
Yeah, he's awesome. Shout
Yeah.
out Jello Man.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I appreciate the Broncho conversation. Anyways,
Oh yeah.
what are the bringing it back to you guys? What are the best ways people can show you guys support right now? Whether it's like buying records or whatever. How can people help you guys out?
We have merch for sale. We have like pre-orders for like a little soccer jersey that we designed.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Just a sick jersey.
It's just a jersey.
I don't know any other bands doing
It's
this,
the home kit.
but you know,
Um,
the home
but
kit.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, just like listening to our music. Simple stuff. Save the song, share the song, do the whole thing. We're not the best at like running a pre-save campaign and all of that stuff. Like honestly, the way that I always think about it is like, if you like the song, please just listen to it as many times as like I listen to songs that I really like. So yeah, just check it out. Check out our Bandcamp. We have merch on the Bandcamp. We have like socks on the Bandcamp. Like we just have a bunch of random stuff right now. Hit us up, message us, let us know that you like us, things like that. On Instagram, we're brother.sports, I think.
Yep.
Invite us to the carne asada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, not right now.
Maybe not right
No,
now.
once COVID passes, we love carne asada invitations.
That's true.
So hit us up.
We'll show up with the
We'll bring the
12 pack.
Modelos.
Yeah.
We're ready.
What?
It's like waiting for the
It's like no joke.
translation.
Dead ass.
What do you guys have coming up like that people can look out for in terms of music or live streams? Anything coming up?
Yeah.
I saw you guys were working on a video the other day. If you want to
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, I can talk about it.
So we just put out the song that you talked about, telenovelas. That's the first single for the last EP that we're putting out this year. But actually, the thing that you saw us working on, shout out to Decade 2020. They're like a art an event collective out of Houston. They are obviously trying to think of creative ways of like creating content and just doing like digital based like shows and stuff like that. So we were actually there. They rented out this like huge badass studio. And we just like filmed a live session of like just a medley of the songs that we've been working on this year. That should be out like in January or something like that. So it was us and Mindtrine. It was the first time I've seen anyone aside from like our band play music in real life in 8 months. And that was just like, that's like one of my favorite bands. So it was just really great. But yeah, another EP this month, video stuff next month.
And then we're
then-
finally putting LP
and then,
next
yeah.
year, sometime in 2021.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Stoked to hear it. That's great. Is there anything else I haven't gotten to that you guys want to touch on?
The only thing I want to say is I want to give a huge shout out to Robert. He was not
Bobby V.
he was not able to make it, but Robert, thanks for your contributions, especially tonight. But yeah, Robert's our other guitarist.
Yeah,
but
we're
he's
a
not.
five.
Yeah, we're a 5-piece, but he was not able to make it. So
Yeah. We should just Photoshop him like right here.
He probably honestly would have said about as much anyway. So
that's probably true.
it's fine.
He's a
Awesome.
man of few words.
Thank you guys. At first I'll say, whoever's listening, go check out the music. And I don't know if there's like, actually, I don't know if you can pre-save if you guys don't say pre-save, but save
I do have a question
it.
for you really quick though, Wes. So
Yeah, for sure.
What has been your favorite song that we've put out this year?
It might be 2 weeks, honestly.
Okay.
No, like I love all the other stuff, but definitely I played 2 weeks on my radio show. I'm just in love with that song altogether. Like even in the original too is just so. I was talking to somebody about it and I was like, it's so sad. It's such a sad song. And they're like, what? No, it's like really like rocky, but I don't know. That's a great song. Anyways, I love the new single too. It's so cool. Yeah. And just paired with the visuals too, it makes the whole thing. So, thanks for asking. It's cool when people ask me questions. That's cool.
We need to start. We're gonna start a podcast. You'll be our first guest.
Dude. Honestly, I would, bro. Please, I would be honored. Please.
Nice. Let's lock it in.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Save the music. Listen to the music. Buy some merch off of Bandcamp. Thanks you guys for listening, and thank you to Brother Sports for being the first guest on the podcast.